It's time for that update that you Lions fan can't miss. So give us a like. It really strengthens the channel, helping us to continue growing and bringing you always updated news every day. If you haven't subscribed yet, now is the time. Click subscribe to make sure you get all the videos firsthand. Thanks a lot for your like and for all the support. Let's go. The Detroit Lions offseason brought important moves and a clear direction. Maintain the consistency of a defensive system that delivered results in 2024. With the departure of Aaron Glenn, the team promoted former linebackers coach Kelvin Shepard internally, showing that Dan Campbell values continuity above all else. The decision is strategic. Maintain the man-to-man marking philosophy that took the Lions to the top of the league in defensive efficiency. However, there's a worrying gap. The loss of Carlton Davis III, one of the best cornerbacks in man-to-man. Marking leaves an open wound that needs to be addressed urgently. Even with DJ Reed's arrival, the depth in the secondary is thin, and the excessive responsibility placed on Terrion Arnold, who had a penalty-plagued rookie year, could prove costly. Looking at the current roster, it's clear the Lions are banking too much on Arnold's developmental leap. He led the league in pass interference calls as a rookie, a stat no one wants on their resume. While Reed is a solid addition, he can't hold his own. Avonte Maddox was signed, but his play is better in the slot, making him a more viable alternative to Amik Robertson than Arnold. Additionally, the lack of cornerback picks in the 2025 draft raises eyebrows among many analysts. The free agent market still offers names that can make an immediate impact. Kendall Fuller, Asante Samuel Jr., Rasul Douglas, and James Bradbury are proven talents who fit perfectly into Detroit's defensive scheme. And if familiarity is the priority, bringing back Emmanuel Mosley or even Cameron Sutton, both of whom are out of the draft, would be a practical solution. But the Lions' problems aren't just in the secondary. The offensive line, which was a fortress in 2024, lost a vital piece. Kevin Zeitler. Even at 35, Zeitler was a cornerstone of the blocking, and his value cannot be underestimated. Brad Holmes' response was to resort to the draft, selecting promising talents like Tate Ratledge and Zach Frazier, who have everything to be relevant names in the future. The problem is that this future may have to start sooner than planned. Both could be forced to assume starting roles as early as week 1, which is risky given the level of demand in the NFL. Veteran Graham Glasgow is available, as is young Christian. Mahogany, but neither offers the security that Zeitler guaranteed. It's still an unstable rotation for a team with Super Bowl ambitions. In this scenario, the work of offensive line coach Hank Fraley becomes even more important. Known for developing talent efficiently, Fraley will have the task of molding a new generation of protectors for Jared Goff. Time will be of the essence, and Holmes knows that. That's why it makes sense to look at the market and look for a veteran who can serve as a bridge, someone reliable, experienced, but who doesn't require a long contract. Names like Brandon Scherf, Will Hernandez, or Shaq Mason would be ideal, although they will probably seek long-term deals. More realistic, perhaps, is to bet on options like John Feliciano or Cody Whitehair, who can be signed for 1 or 2 years and provide the balance that the Lions' offensive line needs at this time of transition. With a defense that wants to maintain its aggressive identity and an offensive line in the process of renewing, the Lions face a critical offseason. The potential of the roster is clear, but the holes left by Davis and Zeitler cannot be ignored. If Detroit wants to solidify its position as an NFC contender, it needs to act now, before the holes become cracks in what promises to be a great structure. Do you think the Lions should rely on seasoned veterans or continue to patiently develop their young players? 3 free agents who could boost the Detroit Lions roster for the Super Bowl race. After winning the NFC North title for the 2nd consecutive time and ending the season with an impressive 15 wins, the Detroit Lions have cemented their position as one of the most solid teams in the conference. The team's foundation is maintained, and Dan Campbell's project continues with consistency and ambition. However, even the strongest teams need to fill strategic gaps if they want to take the next step. Lifting the Vince Lombardi Trophy. Off-season. Training is just around the corner, and there's room for specific additions that could increase the depth and competitiveness of the roster. Although the roster has already reached the 90-player limit, thanks to the wave of undrafted free agents signed after the draft, there are veterans available who could raise the level of the group, especially in positions where there is still uncertainty or a history of injuries. One name that stands out in this scenario is cornerback Asante Samuel Jr. With 50 games played, 47 as a starter over 4 seasons in the NFL, Samuel is an experienced player who, when healthy, delivers above-average performances. In 2023, he was limited to just 4 games due to a shoulder injury, but his record shows consistency, 2 interceptions per season in his first 3 campaigns, in addition to 3 INTs in a single playoff game against the Jaguars in 2022. Although the Lions invested heavily in their secondary with names like DJ Reed, Avonte Maddox, and Rock Ya-Sin, and also added youngsters like Terrion Arnaud and Ennis, Rakestraw, the pass defense was a clear weak spot last year. Bringing Samuel on a short, low-risk contract could be a smart move. He would bring immediate competition, experience, and versatility, being able to play both on the perimeter and in the slot. Another piece that could bolster the defensive side of the ball is defensive end DeMarcus Walker. The veteran visited Detroit before the draft, and with the Lions waiting until the 6th round to bolster the position, it's clear there's room for a more experienced addition. Walker has 14 sacks over the past 3 seasons, and while he's not the dominant piece many dream of playing alongside Aiden Hutchinson, his physical presence and durability offer a stable solution for the rotation. In a group that already has talents like Josh Pascal and Marcus Davenport, both of whom have histories of injuries, Walker's experience, having played in 100 NFL games, could be valuable. He also knows the NFC North well after 2 years with the Bears, which adds familiarity and situational awareness to the equation. His contribution may not be flashy in the stat line, but it's exactly the kind of addition that provides stability in a physical and demanding department. Rounding out the list is Brandon Scherff, one of the most respected guards in the NFL over the past decade. With 5 Pro Bowl selections and 1 All-Pro selection, Scherff still has the fuel in the tank to deliver at a high level. The Lions have drafted several young linemen in the last 2 drafts, signaling a focus on long-term development, but Kevin, Zeitler's departure leaves a hole that perhaps only a veteran can fill immediately. Scherff would be that player. He could easily step into the right guard position, allowing the young talent to develop at the right time without rushing or exposing them too early. His presence would also create a healthy space for Graham Glasgow to compete with the rookies. On the other side of the line, while providing versatility and security for Jared Goff, if the Lions find their young linemen not ready during OTAs, Scherff is the ideal solution, reliable, technical, and available. In short, while the Detroit Lions roster is already strong and balanced, the specific additions of Samuel, Walker, and Scherff could be the difference between another strong campaign and a historic run to the Super Bowl. This isn't about rebuilding the team, but about putting the finishing touches on a machine that is almost ready to dominate the NFL. And as great champions know, details make all the difference. In January and February, would you risk letting it slip by? With the Lions roster getting stronger and ready to compete in the Super Bowl, the possible arrival of names like Asante Samuel Jr., DeMarcus Walker, and Brandon Scherff could be the missing detail to transform this team into a true powerhouse. But now I want to hear from you. Which of these 3 free agents do you think would make the biggest difference to the Detroit Lions roster? Or is the team already ready as it is? In my opinion, the arrival of Brandon Scherff would make an immediate impact. The offensive line is the foundation of everything, and putting a veteran All-Pro there could further protect Goff and open up space for the running game to shine. But of course, that's just my opinion. Now it's your turn. Comment below which of these names you'd like to see wearing the Lions jersey, or if there's another free agent you think would make even more sense. Don't forget to like the video, because that really helps the channel to continue growing and bringing exclusive content to the NFL's most passionate fans. See you soon.